Hello survivors, welcome to my farming guide. We are going to be looking at how to farm the most amount of materials to get ourselves those juicy weapons. So I'm going to be using a build that doesn't require any investment in it with regards to materials. You might have needed a little bit of levels in the barbarian, a little bit on the arcane weaver and the legionnaire, because we are going to be using the new efficient, well, it's not new, the efficient extraction, but we are going to be using material harvest, which is new and found in the legionnaire's new skill tree. So you are going to have your legionnaire leveled up to get this rune. What it does is whenever you collect a major soulstone, which is one of these, instead of collecting the major soulstone, it breaks and it gives us gems or random materials based on the map that we are in. So we are going to be trying to get the most amount of materials out of a single map. And that's all we are looking for. Obviously, if you need prestige or minor soulstones, you are going to get that as well. But the basis of this is to get as much material as possible, as quickly as possible, and as effortlessly as possible for anyone with as little investment as possible for a build. Now, the build we are going to be using is Barbarian with his first weapon. It's not the most efficient, but it's an easy build for absolutely anyone to play. It doesn't require you to have any necessary skills unlocked, achievements done, or anything like that. We are going to be running Whirlwind Stomp, Bloodlust. We're then going to look for Shockwave Totem, Chaos Golem, and Thunderclap. Once we have all of those, we will replace Whirlwind with Bladestorm, or, you know, if we get Whirlwind before we get all the others, Bladestorm before all the others, we will eventually just replace Whirlwind for one of the other skills. So that is the actual build. You'll see it in play when we get there, but first we do need to go over how the materials work in the maps. How materials actually drop is whenever the game spawns an ore and rolls for its quantity, it will roll legendary ores first, epic, rare, uncommon, then common. Now what happens is if you don't have max curse, so if the map doesn't roll for legendary at all, it will then roll for epic first, and so on and so forth. That's how it works. The number of ores spawns and the chances of rolling each tier increase as you kill more bosses. So it is based on percentage progression. So if you're wondering, hey, let me go and, cart around the boss for 20 minutes, I'll get more materials. It doesn't work that way. This is about efficiency. So you want to kill the bosses or spawn them as quickly as possible. So the ores spawn as quickly as possible. So you can get in and out as fast as possible as well. It is pretty much a 0% chance for any ores to spawn before the bosses spawn, and it caps out at a 10% for legendary, 14, 20, 20%, respectively over there, legendary, epic, rare, uncommon. When the last set of bosses spawn, this is the cap value, and this is also the chances we see below for the actual the materials on ore to spawn. So there is a 50% chance that it's going to be common, 12% chance it's uncommon, 15.48 for rare, 12.6 for epic, and 10% for legendary. There is no need to go look for ores to break them. They do not block spawns, even if the whole map is covered in ores. Moreover, once you complete the map, everything on the map is broken automatically and gets picked up. And then if you want a specific tier, choose the curse so that the highest possible drops, for example, curse 7, will only drop uncommon. So if we were looking specifically for uncommon drops, make sure you don't have your epic or legendary drops available to get. That lowers your chance of getting uncommons. So now that we understand how that works, or if you don't understand it, you can let me know down in the comments section. I can try and explain it in a lot simpler terms. But now that we understand how that works, let's show you exactly how the rune works and how the build works and what happens. Now, we do have other things set up here that is for our major soulstone as well as our minor soulstone building or farming. We've got different curses because minor soulstones aren't dropped by bosses. So I've got a setup over here where I have absolutely no bosses spawning except for one, because there's no point in having more bosses. So for this one, I'd farm minor soulstones at the highest value, and every other curse is on except for the void presence. It doesn't affect minor soulstones at all, so we don't turn it on. Next, we've got a curse setup over here 4 major soulstones. So we have absolutely no curses on except for the House of Lords, and then I don't know why these are on either. It's just the House of Lords, and that's going to give us the most amount of enemy spawns or boss spawns as we go through Overlord as well, and it's just going to help us get the most amount of major soulstones. So that's what we use for major soulstones. We just take the House of Lords and nothing else. Then if we are looking for prestige farming, these are the runes, or the void curse setup that I use. I get rid of all of the minus soulstone bonuses that do not give prestige as well. So everything that says from reduced or healing, so lifeless void and revenge of the voids are the ones that only give minus soulstones. We're not looking for minus soulstones, we're only looking for enemies as well as prestige. So like reckless goblins don't give you prestige bonus, but it's an extra enemy, and every enemy you kill gives you prestige. So that is why we have it. So we have the most amount of enemy spawns as well as the most amount of prestige on this. So that's why we keep reckless goblins, unholy reinforcements and things like that. They don't affect the number of prestige, but they affect the amount of enemies on the level, and you want more enemies for more prestige. But that is how you farm those 3 specific things: minor soulstones, major soulstones, and prestige. And we are going to be looking at material farming over here with the build on the barbarian. Unfortunately, my skill tree is maxed out. Yours might not be. So if it isn't, don't worry too much about it. You don't need a max skill tree. I would suggest you maybe have your barbarian maxed out at least with prestige wise, just so that you are able to farm everything comfortably. You don't want to be struggling necessarily. Anyway, if you don't have everything unlocked for most of the characters, I would suggest you work on that more than anything else. You do want that skill tree up and running as much as possible. Now, as you can see, it is very, very comfortable to sit in the corners now, especially since the quality of life change where they make things invisible. So you're no longer going to get enemies sneak up on you without you seeing it, which is fantastic. And Barbarian's just a really good choice because he has a very easy ascension to use as well. It's literally just kill things and you get stronger. The more enemies you kill, fills up the bar, and then you just get a lot of damage, movement speed, and armor. So very, very strong, very easy to use, very brainless in some manner, if we want to call it that. And it's just really good, especially if you are trying to farm materials, and you can get it done very, very quickly. Alright, skills to look for. We are going to be looking for crit chance. That's going to make our skills do more damage. And then we are going to be looking for those skills that I mentioned before. Now, if you don't find them while re-rolling, you can take a couple of skills that would be good. Heroic Strike is really good, and some other skills as well. But if you don't have everything unlocked, your chances of finding it are actually going to be a lot higher than my chances of finding it. So do keep that in mind as well. You're more likely to find the skills that I mentioned if you don't have every skill unlocked on all of the characters, especially like the bunnies there that you saw. The Shadow Spark will be there because you don't need anything, it's just one of those skills, but a lot of them aren't going to be there. Cast frequency, fantastic. We can grab some poison as well just for the extra amount of damage. Not really necessary. Here's the Chaos Golem right off the bat as well. Again, going for the crit bonus over there. A nice area effect on Stomp is going to be helpful. It is a very defensive skill and gives us fragility. And then if you don't find Thunderclap, you can use Thunderstrike or Chain Lightning. We are going to take the Chain Lightning until we find Thunderclap. It just makes it easier to find the other skills going forward. So do keep that in mind as well. We do get a nice area bonus over here, so that's going to make our Stomp do more damage as well, which is fantastic, and it's going to work wonders for us. Now let's keep going. We don't find or see anything that we're looking for. Shadow Bolt is also a very good one. If you have Shadow Orb, you can use that as well. Bunnies and Chromatic Bolt and Sugar Rush are very difficult to get in the very beginning of the game. You need to have everything unlocked. So we are going to grab Heroic Strike over here, just because we don't have the rerolls to spend necessarily. So to fill, we are going to grab that until we find Bloodlust. So, you know, just in case you don't find the things, you do get skills that change, or, you know, skills that benefit. So Heroic Strike is one of them. Chain Lightning, Thunder Strike, Thunderclap. All the electric skills are going to be fantastic. Lightning Bolt is also really good for this as well. Deals a lot of damage as well, so you can grab that as well if you would like. Alright, I don't think we need any movement speed. We are going to hunker down in the corner. We're actually going to take Lightning Bolt instead of Thunderclap. I think it's a beautiful skill. I really like it a lot. And we're not going to really go for bonuses to anything specifically yet, because we are looking to replace that. We then also take one Touch of Ice and one Doom when we find it, because we are going to be looking for Hypothermia and Impending Doom. We will take one Burn and all of those as well, just to ensure that we do have that little bit of extra damage, but we're not going to focus on them too much. We don't necessarily need them. Alright, over here we're going to take the Expansive. We're going to grab the movement speed over here. We have Fragility from skills, so we don't need to take that. But we do want to take this epic upgrade for our golem. One extra golem is fantastic, and we get a beautiful 15% crit chance. So that is really good. We are getting really lucky with some of our upgrades. Not necessarily lucky, but you know, we are getting some really good upgrades going over there. We haven't had any bosses spawn yet, but they are going to spawn soon, so we can show you how the material harvester does work. We're going to try and kill the boss without picking up his, you know, his actual orb or his major soulstone just yet. Again, you'll see by the end of the run, we're going to have 0 major soulstones, but we will have a lot of material. And then obviously we go into the build, into some Overlord cycles. This build will definitely be able to do up to Overlord 3, 4, I mean even higher if you wanted. I'm sure you could get to at least Overlord 5 with this, as long as you do put points into movement speed and a bit of armor and HP. So we're not really built for that specifically, but you can do it very easily. But let's take a look at what happens. I do just want to kill this Void Hunter. There we go, he's dead. I think it was a Void Hunter, but look at the side on the left of the screen. As we pick up the Soulstone, we get all the there, and we landed up getting about 30 something common ores. We are going to pick up the next one. Just keep your eyes over there, and you can see over there we got 4 of the other ores over there that we otherwise wouldn't have got. So you just grab them, you pick them up, and there you go, we get 3 of the uncommon orbs and some more of the common. So obviously through all of this, the common orbs are going to be the ones you're going to get a lot compared to a lot of the other ones, but that is just a given. That is how it works, and we are fine with that anyway, because you use them for everything anyway. Take one burn, that's perfect. We can then grab damage, that's fine. Some movement speed over here. We're going to grab damage for stomp. We've got our lightning bolt instead of thunderstrike, that's perfect. We already took a combustion, so we're going to grab the armor. And over here we don't need, they deal less, you know, take less damage, because every time we pick up an armor, it increases the armor. Every time we pick up a block, it increases the block of theirs. So over here we're going to grab the magnetic, grab the merciless. We got a scent of blood, so if you were looking to go into very high overlord cycles, take the scent of blood. But for this video, that's not necessarily what we're looking for. I'm just here to show you that you can get a lot of materials quite easily, quite quickly, with a very small and easy build. You can use any build you want. This build is meant for people that don't have a lot of things unlocked in their game, and they're looking for a relatively strong build. Again, skill tree is going to be very important. A lot of my strength does come from my skill tree as well, and all of those character stats that you wouldn't have otherwise from there. So do keep that in mind if you did play the same build and you're like, hang on, how come I'm not doing so much damage? It's probably because your skill tree needs to be more investment in your skill tree compared to other people or myself. So very, very important thing over there. Your characters need their prestige and their skill trees sorted for easier time farming. It's the same in every game, you know, the people who are further always have it easier than the newer players. It's much easier for me, myself, to farm anything I want in the game and get everything quickly and easily than it would be for someone who has never played the game before. It's just how the games work, unfortunately. We don't have Blade Storm, so Bloodlust is going to replace... actually, we can replace Whirlwind over here. Heroic Strike is much better. For now, it deals more damage and it has Confused. So Bloodlust will replace that for us. That's perfectly fine. We get the damage over there. And now we're just looking for Blade Storm. A very nice skill, very easy to use. Deals a lot of damage because it hits enemies so many times, so we're okay with that. I should actually put like my auto aim on so that I can play with one hand while doing this, you know, so I don't have to focus so much. It's just how I am when I am doing the videos. I don't focus on my gameplay so much more than I am on the talking and discussing points for you guys. But let's see what happens. We're trying to do this as quickly as possible as well, because the faster you finish, the better it is for you and for your character. You can farm more. And if you're looking for a specific material, you can either then just restart the run and keep farming that specific material, or you can go into the Overlord cycles. Because we are running the material harvester, you are going to get more bosses spawning, and every single Soulstone is going to give you more and more materials. So obviously going into the Overlord cycles is going to be a fantastic idea. And because we got the chaos golems, we don't have to worry about the bosses actually aiming for us. Go grab our debilitating plague over there. That's perfectly fine. More doom chance. It does increase our chances of finding our impending doom as well, so we should be pretty good over here. Alright, we do need a lot more cast speed, unfortunately. You can see we are suffering to actually hit quite often. I think our totems are probably doing us a lot of justice, luckily, so we don't have to worry too much about that. The chaos golems also put in a lot of work here, but we do need a lot more cast frequency to clear this a lot better. But we haven't really been seeing it as an upgrade too much in the shop, unfortunately. So I think we actually made quite a big mistake when we got rid of our Whirlwind, because that is a very low skill cooldown skill already. Right now, just focusing on the Shadow Totem. Something just wrecked that totem, unfortunately. He was just like upgraded and then he died. But you can see we did manage to kill the bosses. As long as they spawn really quickly, it doesn't matter how long it takes you to kill them. You kind of have to focus on just killing everything as quickly, more the monsters as quickly as possible than the bosses. Even if you have all the bosses summoned at the exact same time, that's okay. You should be in a very good place in terms of damage as well as healthiness, but really getting that Blade Storm is going to be a very, very good investment for us once we are able to find it. Don't make the same mistake I did. Keep your Whirlwind on there, because that is a really low cooldown skill and it just helps you deal a lot more damage a lot faster. Even though Bloodlust is fantastic, we should have taken off the Heroic Strike. It wasn't part of the build and we made a big mistake doing that. Alright, Vicious Strike's fantastic. And again, over here, nothing really, so we just grab the HP. That's going to be helpful for us. Alright, luckily we do have our golems doing a lot of the tanking, so we can focus on just dodging all of these attacks, not moving around too much. We do want to try and stay a really good distance from the bosses, just so that we are able to stay away from the Void Hunter and deal as much damage to them with being able to dodge all of their attacks. So there we go, that's working. You can see we've picked up quite a lot of base materials. 18 uncommon is really, really good for a base run. And we've got a heck ton of other materials over there that we wouldn't have otherwise got from the run, just off of this. So there you picked up one. You can see we got an entire, we got one material from that one. It went from 3 to 4. But if we picked up a Soulstone, we would have got like a 3 or 4 from, just one Soulstone. So really well worth it, especially if you need all of those materials from the blacksmith. Okay, let's see, we can grab the potency over here. That is giving us quite a lot of cast frequency as well, which is fantastic. Really good, but we need even more, especially if we want to go into the high overlord cycles. I think we'll do a second overlord cycle just so we can see how much we get from, even just one overlord cycle, how good it can be. And just time wise, we need to see how much time will you spend, and is it worth your time, is it worth the effort. We're already on 9 minutes over here, but you do get faster and faster, especially with going into overlord cycles, because again, you're looking to kill all the bosses, not everything around it. So it does get a lot faster and a lot easier the more you go into the overlord cycles. Obviously, you do need your build to be able to handle that as well, otherwise you're just going to die on the next cycle, which is not what you want. Alright, we can't get close because of the desert bosses. I mean, not the desert bosses, those desert enemies. They are spawning everything around us, which is quite painful, not making it very easy for us to do anything or move anywhere. Normally, Caves of Delzog's my go-to place from the start. Very easy, we don't get all of these tornadoes and enemies that do all of this nonsense on those. But we don't even need to go up to the next enemies or the next bosses. As long as you are able to finish within a certain time, you can go into the overlord cycle. You can see there we did get 20 plus of the uncommon materials, and that was very helpful. Grab one more and let's go for one more round. They did change a nice quality of life as well, as if you go through a portal, it does save all of your materials. So if we did have to crash now, everything that we did earn would be there from when we reload the game. So if you do manage to crash, or if you aren't, if you die, or dying doesn't really matter, you still get the materials. But if you do crash, like if I had to crash now, I do get the materials and everything that is there already, which is fantastic. Alright, we do have Thunderclap, but again, Lightning Bolt, really good. Thunderclap has a lot more damage, and it has the... Oh, do you know what? We're actually going to go Thunderclap over here, and the reason for that is Disoriented is very strong. We do already have 85% crit, so we are happier to go with the Disoriented over Dazed. We're probably going to land up picking up an Impending Doom anytime soon as well, which is going to give us Dazed anyway, so that's going to be a lot stronger. I think the damage as well, the base damage was a lot higher on Thunderclap than it was for our Lightning Bolt. We already start off with the beautiful multicast over there, and we're still waiting for that nice juicy Blade Storm, which unfortunately we don't get. But you don't always get it, unfortunately. Not every build is the same. RNG plays a big part in this, as you can see. What we could do, which you shouldn't do, is banish some of the skills, and that's going to make it a lot easier to kill, to find the Blade Storm. But there it is over there, fantastic. And now we can start to spin to win. It is already on quite a decently low cooldown, so it should be up very often, and that's going to help us apply those negative effects a lot more, as well as kill the bosses a lot faster now as well. So that is fantastic. If you wanted, you can use Avalanche as well. It's also a fantastic skill to use, but you can see already we are killing the bosses a lot faster than we were previously, and that is because of the Blade Storm. Just, the amount of times it hits enemies is just fantastic, and we are getting so many better upgrades here than we were in the last round. So you can see now why it's quite important there. We should have maybe taken the next Doom proc over there just to increase the amount of Doom stacks we apply. Maybe it would influence whether or not we got Impending Doom faster, but I doubt it. But you can see all the gorgeousness that's coming from this are really good. Alright, we're going to focus on the cast frequency, a little bit on movement speed, and we also going to lower the graphics that little bit more, just so that we are able to survive Obviously it's not that much harder, but the further into the overlord cycles you go, the less visual clutter you want on your screen. Remember, we're here to farm, not to have fun. No, I'm joking, we're here to have fun and farm at the same time, but it's just a lot easier. I wish there was a way to look at everything 100% visual, because the game is gorgeous. The skills are fantastic. Thank you, Alex, for all the hard work you put into all of that, and the other devs that assist with that. But the visuals are fantastic, and you know, it's just a shame that we have to turn them off just to be able to get as far as we are. But now you can see with area, it does affect Stomp, Bloodlust, and Bladestorm. I'm not sure why it's got, you know, it's because that's on cooldown. So it looks like, don't get fooled by that, guys. Look at where it says one type rather than the highlights. So make sure that you do have the wording there to make sure that it does affect them. Alright, did we pick up a poison? Yes, we did. It's over there at the bottom. And then damage on the thunderclap as well. So we're in a very, very good spot. This could take us all the way to Overlord 6 if I wanted to go that far. And you would just get more and more survivability. You would grab more life, more armor, more block chance, and then just grab even more cast frequency, multicast, and things like that. You don't need more Doom and things like that. Once you've got Bladestorm multicasting, you're going to be hitting so many Doom stacks that you'll hit the soft cap and things like that. Fragility comes from the, you know, hypothermia when you do eventually proc one and things like that. So just look at picking up your base damage upgrades, and then obviously just one or two of the synergy skills. And if you wanted, you could add, you know, Scent of Blood if you do find it again, and things like that. And then you obviously your brutal strikes for the bleed. But otherwise, the build itself is really, really strong, and you should be able to farm a lot of materials from it. Okay, we've got one more boss left, Prophetess, very easy to kill, there we go. It's really cool that you see the actual materials come out of the major Soulstones as well, so when it does break, they become a part, you know, of the Soulstone, and looks cool visually as well. So just really nice to see that they've put a lot of effort into it as well. It's not just like, oh, you collected it, whoopee, there it is on the side as well. No, when you collect them, it breaks up on the floor, and you can actually see, excuse me, you can actually see the ores that it's going to be presenting you with as well. Once you get a lot, I mean, if you went Scent of Blood Stomp, it's actually really funny. You see the barbarian stomping his foot all the time. Animation wise, it's really, really funny to see, and really cool to see that, you know, all these enemies that normally plugging a lot of AoEs at you and things like that, you don't get them as often because the enemies land up being permanently stunned from you using Stomp. At least all of the enemies except for all of the elites. If you wanted it to be elite, you would have to use Uppercut or Rupture. Alright, we took a nice hard hit over there. Doesn't really matter, we've still got our full 2 lives. Let's kill the Plague Bearer first, because he hurt us, you know, we got to take payback. And there you can see we got the green and blue materials. From that we also got the orange, and it shows you the same color as what the material is going to be as well. So here's our Impending Doom finally, fantastic. We're going to grab cast frequency there, multicast over there, the crit damage. We can go for area of effect for lasting to increase the area of effect of Bladestorm as well, and some more HP because why not. And one of the nicest things about the Barbarian as well is that when you've got his passive or his Ascension up and running, you don't have to worry too much about movement speed because you gain quite a lot of it, even damage as well as armor. And you can see already, just because of the Impending Doom, how much more damage we are actually doing to all of the bosses as well as everything around us. So really, really good. We also grabbed an Exposed Weakness, which helps us a lot. We're going to grab that one Fragility and another Ice, just so that we could try and get another Hypothermia. But you got to play the game how you enjoy playing it as well. You got to use the build or the skills that you want to use. to get all of those materials, or you know, to have the most fun while doing this, because you don't want it to be a labor. You don't want to think of the game as a job. You want to have fun while playing it, and that's going to bring you the most amount of joy and the most amount of ease while doing some of these things, you know, because you don't necessarily want to spend a lot of your time doing this. So you got to try different things. Just use the runes and try different builds, see what works for you, see what you find fun, and you know, you learn about the game that way as well. So you can be like, oh, okay, well, that was terrible. You look at the skills that did the least amount of damage and you're like, hang on, that doesn't even apply any negative effects. I shouldn't even worry about that skill in the future, and so on and so forth. Things like that make a big difference. Even if, let's say, Bladestorm didn't deal a lot of damage, I know for a fact that Bladestorm is applying a lot of that Doom and Dazed, so therefore it is a beneficial skill to us. Unfortunately, all that stuff is calculated in the end damage, so you are going to see Bladestorm doing a lot of damage. But if it wasn't, and you know, there were hidden stats, those were the kinds of things that you would have to look for in a lot of these builds. We do have our brutal strikes over there. I did want the damage here, more area of effect. We don't need the other dash. If I was going further than the Overlord Cycle 1, then we would have grabbed the dash over there, but because I'm not, it's not important. So again, upgrades do make a difference depending on how far you want to push, what you want to do with the build, and things like that as well. I haven't banished anything either, because the build is more than capable of doing what it is doing. We don't need to look for anything. However, there is an efficiency thing going as well. If I did take something that I didn't take, or if I could have taken something and you're like, oh, I'm broken, come on man, why didn't you do that? That's because I'm not actually concentrating. I'm more like having fun and just messing about with regards to the actual build itself. And I'm just showing you that with a little investment and not even thinking too much about what you're doing, you're able to farm and get really, really far. But it's going to be really nice to see how many of the materials we're looking for. I know a lot of the materials everyone's looking for are uncommon, so we're going to see how in 17 minutes how much we can do. This is not a very efficient. I've had builds that can get to Overlord Cycle 4 in the same amount of time, so you would get triple the amount of materials, but those are using the newer ascensions and characters that you may not have unlocked. So this is just to get you to a starting point. Let's see what happens. You can see we got 24 and 30 uncommon materials, which is fantastic. That will help you build more weapons up very, very easily. We landed up getting a whack ton of the epic and the rare materials, as well as the common. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. You can see how strong Bladestorm and the Shockwave Totem are. Very easy to access for absolutely anyone. Stomp is there for the fragility and the stun. Lightning Bolt was there for the dazed. And we've got Thunderclap for the disoriented and dazed as well. And Chaos Golem for aggro and damage. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please remember to like, comment and subscribe for more videos like this in the future. And always remember, keep safe survivors. Until next time, cheers.